thank you everyone for joining us today for our service of Multifaith Readings and Reflection. My name is Babli. I'm one of the spiritual care practitioners here at Mackenzie Health. Throughout the service today, you will see services of prayers and scripture readings which represent some of our multi-faith community. We encourage everyone to participate in all aspects of the service and to enjoy and celebrate those aspects that you have found most supportive and helpful to you. We hope that everyone will learn something new today and in that spirit keep an open mind throughout. Today's theme will be on hope. So we will have an opening reading. This is a poem by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Our next reading will come to us from the Hindu tradition, and this comes from the Vedas. Universal order and truth were born of blazing spiritual fire, and hence night was born, and hence the ocean of space. From the ocean of space was born time, the year ordaining days and night, the ruler of every moment. In the beginning, as before, the Creator made the sun, the moon, the heaven, and the earth, the firmament, and the realm of light. Our next reading comes to us from the Jewish tradition, and this comes from the book of Proverbs. The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of old. Ages ago I was set up at the first before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had taken shape, and before the hills, I was brought forth. Before he had made the earth with its fields, or the first of the dust of the world. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep, and when he assigned to the sea its limits, so that the waters might not transgress his command, and when he marked out the foundations of the earth. Then I was beside him, like a master workman. I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the sons of humanity. Our next reading comes to us from the Muslim tradition, and this is from Surah 27. Praise be to Allah, who has created the heavens and the earth, and who sends you down rain from the sky, who has made the earth firm to live in, made rivers in its midst, who listens to the distressed when he calls on him, who relieves its suffering, and who guides you through the depths of darkness. Our next reading comes to us from the Christian tradition, and this comes from 1 Corinthians. When the perishable has been clothed with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality, then the saying that is written will come true. Death has been swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? And where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God, he gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you, and always yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. Our next reading comes to us from the Buddhist tradition, and this comes from the Perfection of Wisdom in 8,000 lines. I pay homage to the perfection of wisdom. She is worthy of homage. She is unstained, and the entire world cannot stain her. She is a source of light, and from everyone in the triple world she removes darkness, and she leads away from the blinding darkness caused by the defilements by the wrong views. In her we can find shelter. Most excellent are her works. She makes us seek the safety of the wings of enlightenment. She brings light to the blind, and she brings light so that all fear and distress may be forsaken. As the donor of the jewel of all the Buddha Dharmas, she brings about the 10 powers of the Buddha. She cannot be crushed. She protects the unprotected with the help of the 4 grounds of self-confidence. She is the antidote to birth and death, and she has a clear knowledge of the own being of all the Dharmas. For she does not stray away from it. The perfection of wisdom of the Buddhas, the Lords, sets in motion the wheel of the law. Alrighty, and good morning again to everyone joining us. My name is Bavli. I'm one of the spiritual care practitioners here at Mackenzie Health. As I mentioned previously, today's theme is on hope. So I just want to give you a small reflection on hope. I am sure that we all have hopes, and hopes can take on many different forms. I am hopeful one day that the Leafs will win a championship. Believe me, I am hopeful, and I'm not that big of a hockey fan. That hope will never die for me, no matter how often they might disappoint us. It's a good time to be a sports fan here in the city and everywhere in the world, right? Everything's kind of coming back to normal since COVID, and the Leafs are playing well. You know, Raptors not so much, but the Leafs are playing well. You know, the Raptors won it a few years ago, so I'm a big basketball fan, so that made me very happy. So what can go wrong? People might tell you that they've never performed well in the playoffs in previous years. They might tell you they choke against a certain team from the East. But who cares? That's the past. This is now. And you can tell that I love sports, and more specifically the Raptors and the Leafs as well. Personally, I love basketball. I'm a basketball junkie. I watch it, I play it. I even have my own fantasy team. So a big part of my life is basketball and sports in general. So you might ask, why am I so hopeful with a team that always disappoints, right? After all, what does hope look like? I mean, we all have our journeys. I know you do, and I do. And being in a hospital bed, or looking at your neighbor, doesn't seem so hopeful at all. Every day, we use that small, magical word, hope. It's tough to live, or even make it through one day without hope. What is hope? Based on the examples I just gave and the readings we have heard so far, we can define hope like this. Hope is a vision for better days that changes us in the present. Hope is a vision for better days. There's something up ahead, around the corner, in sight, and it's good. But that good future isn't just abstract, because it reaches in and transforms us in the present. So, for example, if I'm hoping for an A in my class, that hope will, at least in practice, should motivate me to study right now. If I'm hoping for a pay raise at work, I might work harder now so that I might get it later on. Something maybe much bigger than us. I want world peace. But I can't stop shouting at my own children right now. What does that mean? So, as a child growing up, I knew well the power of hope around this time of the year as we moved into some big holiday celebrations, whether we just celebrated Lunar Year, Ash Wednesday is coming up, Eid is coming up alongside with Easter and Passover. This is a time when we celebrate. So hope for me was something that I always grew up around during this time. I had a vision for better days. But that also changed my attitude and actions at the time. That vision for the future drove me to search catalogs and magazines as a kid, making careful lists of potentially presents that I wanted or certain things I wanted to get. And it would even drive me to hunt under my parents' bed in order to sneak a peek at the better days coming upon me. Hope is a vision for better days that changes us in the present. Hope sometimes can look very different from what I described. People might have stage 4 terminal cancer. People might have had heart attacks. And people who seem to be coming near to the end of their lives. Not only do I ask you, but challenge you to reflect on these people as you contemplate in your mind about how you will walk with them on their journey of hope. How does hope look for them? Is there hope at all? I'm not sure if there's an answer, but I believe we can maybe control some of the actions that we decide to do. One way to unpack this hope is to see that we are all one interconnected community. One of the marvelous things about community is that it enables us to welcome and help people in a way that we couldn't do as separate individuals. When we pool our strength and share the work and the responsibility, we can welcome many people, even those in deep distress, and perhaps help them find self-confidence and inner healing. Sadly, we're losing something about community, about accepting people who are different, especially since COVID and everything started to go back to normal. I feel that everyone is always down each other's throats. What I've noticed is that we have a culture of winning, a culture of success, a culture of knowledge. Those who have less knowledge are somehow not winning. We're in a culture of huge divisions. We need to teach ourselves how we can lose, because the more we come close to losing, the more we begin to see the reality of what it is to be human. What can we learn from all these years that the Leafs have not won a championship? How do we become better people? And the reality of becoming human is to accept our weakness, to discover that all human beings, no matter where they come from and what they believe in, are beautiful. So many people are running around doing a lot of things, but they're controlled by anguish, anxiety, stress. Hope is the light at the end of the tunnel when we hold each other's hands and sit in silence with each other and accept who we are. It's not an easy task, and today's readings point to an image of how maybe we could start that journey of hope. Our opening reading tells us that hope pierces the soul and has the ability to guide us as we seek to soar high in the air. The Hindu reading says that if we allow hope to penetrate us, that our space will open as wide as the space of the ocean. The reading from the Jewish tradition tells us that God is constantly constructing us in His image and likeness, which is transcended in the good and in the beautiful creation that He has made. The Muslim reading tells us that if we learn to trust each other, that our hope will allow us the space to overcome our suffering and darkness. The Buddhist reading tells us that if we constantly seek the light, we will find shelter and hope that is manifested from that very same light. And finally, the Christian reading tells us that if we overcome death, it is because we have hope in each other, in the actions that allow us to serve one another. So, can I continue to hope for the Leafs? I think I can, because as long as we can have hope, we can believe. But something I've noticed is that a community is only being created when its members accept that they are not going to achieve great things, and they are not going to be heroes, but simply live each day with new hope, like children, in wonderment as the sun rises, and in thanksgiving as it sets. Community is only being created when we have recognized that the greatness of humanity is to accept our insignificance, our human condition, and to thank our Creator, God, Allah, whoever we believe in, for having put in a finite body the seeds of eternity, which are visible in small and daily gestures of love and forgiveness. The beauty of humanity and the hope we live in is in this devotion to wonder of each day. So, I will conclude by saying that I will continue to hope for the Leafs, that one day they will win a championship, as long as you continue to hope in each other. So now we will have our concluding reading for today. May all beings be happy and free. May you recognize the power and beauty within you and within all. May you nurture the seeds of your becoming. May music be like a prayer and your feet a drum to the beat of your heart. May your ministry be rooted in the power of Mother Earth, and may your light sparkle and shine to all. May your heart grow green and healthy and whole. May generosity of spirit flow through you like a river, and may your dreams of freedom be fulfilled. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's service. If you would like spiritual care support, our contact information is on the spiritual care icon on your iPad, and also you can talk to one of your nurses as well, and they know how to contact us throughout the day. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye everyone.